Oh,
fun.
hang on. Hang on. Wait.
I love you, Mandy. Mm.
They all laugh at my misfortune. My life is terrible and all she can do is laugh. The
Oh,
5 of coins.
look at this. Oh my God, you've got the part. You have got the part.
Oh my God, that is so Les Miserables, right? It really is. Like, literally, I was singing that song 8 times a week,
Oh,
and we just had to be kind of like devastated. It was kind of like, life is terrible. Like, you know, at the end of the day, you're another day older, and that's all you can say for the life of the poor. That was like the song, night after night after night. I was singing that song.
wow. Yes. Tarot tunes right there. That is
Yeah.
totally that song.
Yeah, it's totally Les Miserables, you know, and some of us like, and we all had to start at the back of the stage, all in our kind of rags and everything. If you look at any of the photos of the show, that's one of the kind of like the stock photos of like these kind of people all in rags at the back. And as the music starts, you know, we kind of gradually sort of move forward as an ensemble, and some people fall over because they can't walk because they're limping and doubled over. I mean, it is so miserable.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah. So
Wow.
I see that. I kind of see that image, and I'm back there in that show. But it really, you have to be careful with this one, I think, to be fair, because I think sometimes it is people playing the victim, you know, people who are kind of full of like, oh, woe is me, like the world owes me something. I can go to that side of it. And other times I think they are people that are genuinely outcasts, that are genuinely in need. And I think you've got to be really tuned in to sort of know which way to go with this.
Yeah.
I think all down to your intuition and on the day and in the moment, whether it's for real or not. I've got a friend, I don't know if you've got this over there. We've got this thing called the Citizens Advice Bureau, and it's kind of like they have them in all the main sort of cities, and it's a place where you can get free, I'm calling it legal advice, but they know everybody's rights, if that makes sense.
Oh.
And so the people are kind of like, you can get an appointment there for free information on what the law is, you know, for your particular situation. And they can be like very, very sort of like helpful to people that need that. And I had a friend who got a law degree, and she got sort of work experience at a Citizens Advice Bureau, you know. So she sort of told me this like story, and she said, honestly, like some of the people that come to the CAB for advice have got terrible situations, and thank God for the CAB, and people should fund it and keep it going. It's really important. But on the other hand, there was a certain percentage of people that just felt, oh, there's money being handed out in this country. I want to know what I can get hold of. You'd get the greedy people that just needed to know, so that, you know, so that they could adapt their story accordingly, because they felt they were entitled. And she said she found it very difficult to have to sit there and be all sympathetic to some people that clearly did not deserve it, that were just ripping off the system. And I do think this card shows both sides of that, and you've got to be really, really on the ball with this, like what comes out of your mouth.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. And it just, with that said, you know, like the traditional meaning here is despair and hopelessness. And why would despair and hopelessness be a minor arcana when hope herself, the traditional, is major arcana? That never made any sense to me
Yeah, it's a
because,
really good
yeah,
point.
yeah. Despair and hopelessness. Hope springs eternal. I said it earlier, but hopelessness, despair is, it doesn't happen every day. It is not, it shouldn't happen every day. You know,
Mm.
it's not how we go day to day. I think that,
No, I mean, if you take this card to its extreme, it, it is a very dramatic card, really, if you were taking it to its extreme. I mean, there are people that just feel they don't belong.
mm,
They don't feel they fit in. It doesn't necessarily, I mean, some of this can just be literally in someone's head. Someone that just really, really has, what's the word? Social, a person who has social something issues. Just very, very difficult for them to they have anxiety in social situations, but there's a name for it.
I have a friend that's on disability for that. Wonderful guy, but any amount of stress, he flies off the handle and cannot keep a job.
Yeah,
And it's a very real situation. It's not just, he's not an asshole. He's not a
right.
mean person. It's just he cannot handle stress. He's not wired to handle stress. And it is a psychiatric disability.
Yeah,
And
no,
he,
yeah,
yeah.
social disorder. There's a, I still can't get it, but they genuinely struggle to kind of like deal with other people, so they kind of cast themselves off, outside. It's not even necessarily the people inside that have isolated them or thrown them out. They've done it to themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And that that can be true of this card, but ah, I know we haven't done the 8 of Swords, but there's a lot of people go straight for she's done this to herself.
Yeah,
And people like to think that we have complete control over our world and our surroundings and our situation, when in truth, we really, really don't. So, if you're going to see this as, you're playing the victim or not really in this situation, be very, very careful not to make that all the time, because this can also be a real situation. I've seen this card in so many different ways. Um, One of the ways I see it is don't be afraid to ask for help if you're down, you
yeah.
know? Um, we
Or
don't know,
Christmas.
yeah, yeah, because this is the only card that has snow in it.
Yeah,
But with that bell around his neck, this is a social outcast. At this
yeah,
particular time, that bell represented lepers had to wear bells around their neck because people couldn't get too close to them because it's so fiercely an aggressive, communicable
yeah.
disease. So that bell was to warn people to stay away.
Mm.
And lepers had a really, really difficult life. So we know that in this instance, he has had some hell. We don't know about her. Is she,
Yeah.
are they together? Are they separate? Just trying to go to the same place for the help?
That's
We
the other
don't.
interesting thing, isn't it? Somebody who's a castaway, the fact that they didn't just have one person who's being kind of in that picture, the fact that they've chosen to have two people in that picture, like there's something about that.
Yeah. And they're not looking at
Yeah,
each other. Could they help
no,
each other?
it could just be like some people just feel like they don't belong, or
Yeah.
some people are made to feel that they don't belong. I mean, I think it's a very sensitive card that you have to be really careful with.
And we don't even know, are they being kicked out? Did they just leave the church and get kicked out into the cold because the church wouldn't help them or the people they went to? Or are they going to the door of the church?
Yeah,
Are they being rejected, or are they going for help? We don't
We
even
don't
know
know.
that.
We don't know.
I do like the ambiguity of the Rider-Waite in these cases. I hate
Yes, I
when a
do.
card like interprets it for you, because the ambiguity works with your intuition to find the right
Yeah,
answer.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And I kind of like, the other thing sometimes I will get with this card is it might say to someone, use your skills, or who you'd be very good working with unfortunate people, you know, like that sort of thing. It might be giving rather than saying you are an unfortunate person, or this person is feeling sorry for themselves. It might just be saying you could gain a lot by helping people who have some sort of misfortune. That might be what
Absolutely.
it's saying, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah,
You might be that window full of light and hope.
exactly. I mean, yeah, I mean, that would be one way of seeing this as a positive card.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say if it was a timings card, it's like, when is this going to happen? If that card came up, I'd just go Christmas,
Yeah. Or winter.
winter, Christmas time. Yeah, winter
When
time.
hell freezes over.
Yeah, winter
No.
time. Yeah.
Winter time.
It might have nothing to do with the misfortune thing.
Right.
So you just got to listen, first of all, to what the question is, and where the card has come up in the spread, before you go jumping to, oh, that's what that card means.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we've got the Radiant Rider-Waite version that I brought along as a comparison. And this is much more showbiz. I mean, the whole thing is just so much richer and warmer in the colours, even though, yes, it shows the unfortunate people, and yes, it does show snow, but, you know, the walls are brown and red, and the colour of their clothes are much more colourful. Just the whole thing feels a lot less depressing somehow.
And even the shading and the color in the original Rider-Waite, those clothes look old and worn, where in the Radiant they look fairly new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like two people. God, I shouldn't really say this. This is a bit awful. It's almost like they're going to a fancy dress party as the characters from the original Rider-Waite, and they haven't quite got the tone of it right for the right amount of misery
Right.
in this.
Yeah, he
It,
looks more like he's daydreaming. He doesn't have that look of the Rider-Waite
oh yeah,
looks. He looks like he's going la di da di da. Huh.
I don't know. I just don't find it anywhere near as gloomy and depressing in this as it is in the kind of like the original version.
Yeah.
I think the colouring in the original version really is very kind of like part of the mood of it. You know, you sort of said, oh, you didn't understand what it's doing in the minors, like, or you know,
Yeah.
and I feel that the Radiant version belongs in the minors. It just doesn't feel anything like as severe.
Yeah. One very positive reading that I had with the Five of Coins, just to show us a positive note of it. He showed up for a woman who was very, very desperate to feed her family that week. She had just lost her job, had absolutely no income, really did not know what to do. And I was like, well, you know, you can go to the churches in the area and they
Yes,
will help you with food. And
yes.
her response was, I'm not a member of any church. I said, it doesn't matter. She did not know that she could go to any church and say, help me. And they would obviously see the situation. You know, they got a way, they can't just giving it out, but she really desperately needed the help. So she was able to find a church, and she eventually became a member of that church because they helped her.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So, obvious answer to me, but she had no clue. She thought you had to be a member of the churches for them to help you. Some of them are like that. Most of them in this area, they're going to help you regardless. So,
Right.
yeah.
No, and there are, whether, I mean, I think, yeah, church is perfect for that card, but there is something about that card saying there is help. There is help, whether it's a church or whether it's I don't know, just a kind of like an online group or something like that. But there's always help if you really want it. If
Yeah.
you really want it and you're prepared to kind of reach out for it, there is always help available. And if you're walking away from help, that's a problem.
It really is. It's I think a very true strength to realize when you need help and to show the vulnerability to get the help. Pride is not strength when it
No,
comes to a situation like that.
no, and it can be very damaging for people when they just continuously avoid help.
Yep.
Denial. But it is the victim mentality. It is a little bit like the world owes me something. Look at me. Why
Yeah.
is it not coming to me?
Yeah.
And I think that's quite hard. I mean, obviously, I suppose we're doing the Six of Coins next. But, all over England in the sort of cities, you do have homeless people on the streets, which, I mean, this card kind of like starts to lean in that direction, and it maybe goes a little bit further on the six. But yeah, that would be an interesting point of conversation, the difference between the 5 and the 6. Maybe we should talk about that when we do the 6.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but I mean, there are homeless people, and as a touchwood, I've never been homeless, but
I have.
have you?
Yes,
Right,
I
yeah.
have.
No, I know people that have, but I kind of like feel guilty whenever I walk past a homeless person, and yet at the same time, I can't personally house every homeless person. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it's difficult because not just for the homeless person, but also for the person who is either giving or not giving to the homeless person. There's a whole thing going on there, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah, there really is. There really is. And yeah, you want to help everybody, but how do you, and then you get hopeless, if you help everybody, you don't have anything left for you. And we got to take care of ourselves. We've
Yeah,
got to. And
yeah. And
you
then
said,
there's not only that, but like in a sense, you also don't know who the genuine ones are.
yeah, because there are people who totally fake it and just,
Oh, absolutely. But
yeah,
it doesn't mean that they all totally fake it,
not
or
at all.
that none of them are genuine. Some of them seriously are in need.
I think I know within the United States in the 70s when they disbanded all the sanitariums and the places for people with psychological problems to go
Right.
to. Though the sanitariums were horrible places, but it was a roof over their head, it was food in their belly, and when those were all disbanded and closed, that's when the increase in homeless people began,
Right.
because now these people really have nowhere to go for help. They can't take care of themselves. It's an increasing problem caused because the help isn't available and other people taking advantage of the situation to
Yeah.
get ahead. And we're
Yeah.
always going to have those people. But I was going to say earlier, you mentioned something that made me think, they could be passing that church right by. They could not even, you said something about that. The world owes me. They could be walking right by without going in thinking, well, that help should be coming to me. But for most of the homeless situation, they truly truly have no way to cope with the psychological issues that they have, and it's just going to continue to get worse. It's like nobody wants to be homeless,
No.
but when you cannot cope with the
But
world
there are
around
homeless
you,
people. There are homeless people. There are homeless people, but I don't want to paint a picture of this is what homeless people are. There are homeless people who actually do have homes. That, you know, they're given homes by the local council, that sort of thing. But they will still go out every day on the street as if they are a homeless person, with a bit of cardboard with something about, please, you know, please for food for today, but it's just money for drugs, and you know,
yeah, money
that's a
for
fact.
drugs or alcohol, that is a
It's
fact.
really, and it makes it really hard for the genuine cases.
Well, most of the time when somebody asks me for money and I have it, I'm always happy to share. But instead of giving that person money, I'll buy them food.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I will
I
buy
would do the
food
same. Yeah, exactly.
because, I don't want them to harm themselves or to feel, I don't like feeling taken advantage of either. But I'll buy food for somebody, but very rarely will I give somebody actual money,
Yeah,
you know. So, you want to see my
difficult,
five?
very difficult, but I don't think this necessarily represents homeless people, this card. I think it can represent people who just feel not wanted. I mean, I could feel like that if I went for an audition and they said not interested or whatever.
Yeah.
I could feel exactly like that. Very sorry for myself. They don't want me.
Yeah, they
They
don't.
don't want
And
me.
I think that's the
Rejection.
more common. I think
Yeah,
it's the desperation of it is uncommon. It does come up, but I think the most common is that feeling of being that outsider.
yeah.
And that's a
You could
horrible
feel
feeling.
that this. You could feel this if somebody dumped you, couldn't you? It's
Oh
like,
my God, yeah.
I'm not wanted. I'm not good enough. You know, and that
Yeah.
absolute. Nobody likes being rejected. It's hurtful. It hurts your ego. You know, this card could simply mean that. It doesn't mean that you are like the world hates you, but at that, in that moment, you just feel like a complete outcast, and it's like
Yeah.
nobody's going to want me, or whatever. You know, you can
Or
feel really bad.
I don't know if you hit this patch because you're kind of just totally vibrant and alive, but a lot of middle-aged women get to a point where, you got the kids and the husband and everything else, but you're kind of taken for granted, where you feel like you're invisible, you
I'm
know?
only 22, so I wouldn't
So
know
you
yet.
wouldn't know. You
No.
wouldn't know.
No, I know what, no, I know exactly what you mean. I really, really know exactly what you mean. And I have felt a bit like that. I would say overall, I don't feel like that. I know I don't suffer from it, if that
Yeah.
makes, I can't say I've never felt like that, or I've had days when I felt like that. But fortunately, yeah, it's not, I'm not what's overwhelmed with feeling like that. And it must
I
be
went through a
horrible. Yeah,
patch where the
yeah.
most words my family said to me was, "What's for dinner, Mom?" And that I grew out of it. I'm Leo. I ain't taking that shit for long.
There's a really amazing musical actually, and so I have to say this story now.
Oh yes,
I
you
kind
do.
of like almost feel like I should save this story for our deck of the week, so I might say it again, right?
Okay.
I might say it again. When I worked on Cambridge Market, I had this lovely client. She was always coming for reading. She was about 16 or 17. She was this young girl. She had this boyfriend, and they always used to sort of come together. And she was just, they were quirky. I hope they're still together. So I left the
Oh,
market about a year ago. But anyway, one day she came to the market by herself, and she said, because she knew my style of reading and everything, she went, "I've got my question, right?" I said, "Okay." And she said, "I want to know advice of what I have to do so that by the time I'm 25, I'm not a housewife. Right?
Oh,
This
good
was her question.
question.
This was her question.
Oh.
And I thought, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. So I said to her what I was about to say to you. I said to her, have you ever heard of the musical Working? It's called Working. That's the name of the musical. And she went, no. And I went, oh, because I said, you just said that. I said, in that musical, there is a song called the Housewife Song, right? She went, hold on a minute. She got her phone. She went, is this it? And I went, yes. She went, let's listen to the song before you do the reading. So we sat there in my market stall, me and this little girl, she's like 16, and this Broadway singer sings, all I am is just a housewife, nothing great. Right, and we listened to the whole song. I don't know what anyone passing by the market must have thought. And at the end of the song, she went, now let's do the reading.
Oh.
I thought, I love this job. I absolutely love this job. But her biggest fear that she was willing to pay for a tarot reading on was how not to become a housewife by the time she hit 25.
Oh, God bless her.
It was fantastic. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how we got to there from the...
we go.
No, but what you were saying is sometimes you feel like you're invisible and that no one is interested in you. And that is really what that housewife song is all about. It's just take the kids here, take the kids there, you know, yeah. It's a very good song. It's very... It's kind of monotonous, like the music.
I need to listen to this whole musical.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's
and
great.
The way I got to the invisible was those two characters, the leper and the other, and how we don't see the homeless. We belligerently do not see these people as a society. It's like our eyes skim right over them. We've had to condition ourselves not to care too deeply. And that's where I got the invisible.
It is easier to try and pretend that it doesn't exist, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. So that's where my brain thought power was going to that. Sometimes we feel invisible with this card.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gemini moon. That's how intuition works. It follows that thought.
Yeah. That's amazing that appropriately led to the housewife song. That triggered that. I'm absolutely kind of astonished. I was not expecting that today. Yes, when we're doing the Housewives Tarot deck, but
you've got me wanting to watch this musical.
It's a very good musical.
Song you told me from it.
Yeah, it's a great musical. Like I was saying the other day, weren't we, about see that building? I was the one that did the design. It's a great musical.
What we need to do, because we need to make a musical tarot deck, and the Pentacles could be the work musical.
Yeah, and Joanna can sing it all.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. We've got our cast. But no, I think this is seriously about rejection, and not being wanted, or feeling like you're not wanted. How do you read it in advance? We've been talking about it for God knows how long, right? But in reverse, is it kind of like you've actually accepted help? You're actually allowing yourself to go in and take the help that's on offer. I feel this card is better in reverse.
Definitely better in reverse. In either case, whether it's real, need and desperation, or if it's working the system, in either case, reversal would be better.
Yes.
Working the system is a form of laziness to me.
Yes.
Yeah. So is backing off from that laziness in that area. Whereas if it's a real disability, if it's a real need, that person actually got the help.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I would agree. I would definitely agree with that.
I got a really strange card to share with you.
Okay.
It's really strange. That's a 5 of coins. You got to look at it hard.
So that person has just won all that money.
Yeah.
And there's people looking through the windows that wishing it was them.
Yeah. Hungry people like, help
Yeah.
us, help us, help us.
Yeah.
So,
That's an interesting card, because you do get people that win the lottery or something, you know, and then all of a sudden out come all the kind of like, you know, we need the money, give it to us. And it's like, go and buy a ticket.
yeah, yeah, all sorts of charities, family that hasn't spoken to you in flipping years, suddenly
Yeah.
like, I deserve a piece
Yeah,
of
that's what
that.
I saw in that card there that you just held up. I thought that was quite ugly, those people in the window. It's like, you know, they've strategically placed themselves right outside the window where people are winning money.
Yes. Yes. And when you said about how people work that system and people do that, yeah, that card, so she got the windfall, but in this case with this card it would be such a totally different reading. I'd tell her to be careful who she shared with,
Exactly.
careful who she helped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
But what the good thing about that was that she was oblivious to them. But was she deliberately looking away because she knew there were the beggars outside, you know, when she went in? Or, you know,
yeah,
what
wow,
was an interesting. What deck's that again?
that is the Everyday Enchanted Tarot.
Nice.
I love
My
that.
God. I mean, it would just really be, I mean, we'd be here forever, but you could take 10, 20 tarot decks and look at choose any one card and show the different images, what the designer has chosen to sort of like do to represent it. I mean, we are just, it feels like we're doing quite long videos now for one card, but this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Ah, yeah, scratching at the surface. One of my favorite things to do with groups, and it does take long. I mean, 2 hours, we might look at 2 cards, but have everybody in the group bring their favorite tarot card of a certain one and compare them and see how the art makes them a different interpretation.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I know I sound like a nerd, but it's so much fun to do. It is so much
Maybe
fun to
we
do.
should do that at some point in the lounge.
That would be awesome. Everybody bring their favorite card and we can use Mantiki Pro to check it out, or our
Yeah,
cameras. But
yeah,
yeah, once we catch ourselves in a groove and aren't seeing each other coming and going, or our own selves coming and going,
yeah.
I people really enjoy doing that
No,
and
it's lovely
seeing.
because we're working with a tool that is a visual tool. I
Yeah.
mean, I was doing like psychic awareness for a long time before I realized that I should be working with the tarot. But you know, like people like Anne, who is like our medium, you know,
Yeah.
she's a psychic medium. She works with spirit, and you know, she will get she'll get people coming through. She'll just feel it.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I was getting random images in my head for years. I'd get random images, like it'd be, why am I getting a train? And the person would go, no, I know exactly why you're getting it, or whatever, you know. And it was like, whoa, kind of thing. And then it became obvious to me that I should be working with tarot cards, because the visual thing sets me off. It's the
Yeah.
visual thing. I know I can talk a lot, but I'm not getting voices or things like that. It's the image. I'm sort of, the image triggers what comes out of my mouth.
The image for me, and I occasionally, it's not a constant, but I occasionally I also hear things. Um
Right.
yeah, so I think the everybody's so different of how they work.
Yeah.
So a deck is very personal. You do want a deck that appeals to you. I do recommend studying with the Rider-Waite so you can get to know a deck really well And the Rider-Waite is so simply beautiful, perfectly simple, that it makes it easier to learn other decks. It
Oh,
really does.
absolutely. Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
not that.
Yeah, it's a little bit hard to find a deck. I've yet to find a deck that I think, oh, I don't want to read with the Rider-Waite anymore.
The only deck I've found, well, there's two decks that I've found that will trump my my Rider-Waite deck, and they're both variations of Rider-Waite.
Right, okay.
But yeah, the one is the Soul Sparkle Tarot, and the other is my WS squared.
Right.
And
Yeah.
for years I didn't, well, for 30 years I read with the Morgan Greer Tarot. That's the
Okay.
only tarot deck I knew. I didn't even really know there were other tarot decks. I thought that was the tarot. That was my deck. And I was under the impression that I was not allowed to buy my own deck. So I
Oh,
used
yeah, that
that
one.
deck till it fell to pieces. You know, it just fell to pieces. I finally retired it, and it took me 3 years to find a deck that I was comfortable with. First thing I did was reorder a Morgan Greer. It wasn't the same. It wasn't my deck. So it took
Right.
me 3 years, and then finally I got Eric C. Dunn's Tarot Illuminati. That's why I'm so crazy about Eric C. Dunn, because
Okay.
he
Yeah.
finally got me able to read again. But surprisingly, my go-to decks are simple Rider-Waite recolorations.
Yeah. Well, I think we've said enough about the Six of Pentacles.
5.
The 5. Oh, after all of that, I get it wrong. Right. The 5 of Pentacles. I think we've given people enough to kind of go on. If anyone has got you know, a story about this card that kind of like, you know, what's come out of your mouth when you've been reading with this card, what you're, you know, how you've interpreted it, please do let us know.
Yeah.
We're really, really excited to get people's sort of comments on the cards and people's own experiences. So yeah, that's it. We will see you at the 6.
Yay. All right.
Bye for
Bye.
now.